Hi, this is Harish here. Welcome to DB2 TSA MP tutorial part 5. In this tutorial, I'm going to talk about how to shut down or start up TSA automated or TSA implemented HADR database. The scripts that I'm using, the download files that I'm using, the data files that I'm using are freely available for download at db2lewacademy.blogspot.in. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/db2lewacademy. This slide talks about the problem scenario and the task that we are going to do. The scenario is we want to demonstrate how to start up or shut down TSA, which is implemented with the HADR database. Now, why this becomes like an important thing is once the TSA is up and running and it's implemented for HADR database, TSA is going to do some automation for you. So if you just don't have the liberty to shut down or restart servers at will or at random. So you just can't do that just like logging into the system like in the putty session and just go and issue a shutdown, or just deactivate the database, stop the instance and shut down that particular server. So you don't have that liberty anymore. The thing is, see, even though the DB2 commands are tightly integrated with TSA, so there are certain TSA actions, or there might be certain interference from the automation side. It will impact your database, or it will impact your starting of instances, or it might even reboot the standby server or the primary server. That's how the TSA works. So because it will think that, see, even though you are issuing the shutdown or the restart command, TSA will think that that node is going down, right? So it might take some corrective action. So you have to put the TSA the system automation in a manual mode, and you will have to stop the domain, and there is something called as disabling the critical resource protection. So all these things needs to be done in a very careful manner so that everything is like in a smooth way. It's done in a smooth way. It is more like it's better to be safe than sorry. Yeah, I think I got that proverb, or I got that saying correct. So so that is why that is why we are giving so much stress on this. So do not shut down or restart servers at will or random, even though there is tight integration of DB2 commands. So what I mean by tight integration of DB2 commands is like, say for example, if you just go and deactivate your primary and stop the instance, DB2 and TSA are tightly integrated such that the TSA is aware that you are intentionally bringing down the database for some deactivation purposes and things like that. So it won't trigger an automation activity. So it is kind of aware of that, but it is always, that's what I said, but it is always to be safe. It is better to be safe than sorry, right? So even though those features are there, we just want like an ideal way of doing it, okay? And so obviously for this tutorial, we already have set up everything. So the HADR database is there in peer state between Tiger and the Dragon server, Tiger being the primary and Dragon is the standby. And we have enabled enabled high availability for the instances using the Tivoli system automation product. And whatever the shutdown restart procedures that we are talking about is well documented in DB2 TSA shutdown for maintenance PDF. Special thanks to those authors, without which this video is not possible. And I also learned a lot, and it's not a very huge document, so you can just read through that. And this is that document, and it's a kind of old September 2014, and thanks to this author. But yeah, it's a old document, but I think it's still relevant. But because of some new features and other things, there might be some better way of doing it. So that's what they're saying. There are several procedures provided depending on the level of integrations between the DB2 and TSA MP. So this is like an ideal way, but there could be some real time. You could find some workarounds. That is fine, so we are not going to get into that. Okay, so we have an initial state of cluster and automation and everything done. Okay, so how do I say that? Okay, so let's go here. So this is the output of LS-SAM, and you could see that, and you can also say LS-RP domain, like to get the status of your domain. So we have HA domain online, and this is the status of the resources in that domain. So you have all the resources online, and Tiger server is housing the HADB database online, and the virtual IP address is also online on the Tiger server, and the standby is like obviously it's going to say offline, and all the other resources here are online. Okay, so now this is our initial state of the cluster and everything. And this variable I have already talked about, CT management scope variable. So what I have done is, actually, let me just show you that, more dot bash rc. So every time it's difficult to do that, right? So I have put this, I have set this CT underscore management underscore scope variable, and I have set that in both the bash rc of both the servers. In the Tiger server also I have set this, and in the Dragon server also I have set that way. Okay, so you can see that, yeah, here you can see that is also set. So because every time when we execute TSA commands, we don't want to set that variable, so I just put it in the profile file. Okay, and that's all done. Okay, and the initial state is all I showed you that, the LSSAM output I have shown you. And you can also check for the database state, like the standby database. This is a standby, Dragon is a standby, and it is in peer state with the primary is Tiger. So it's all like clear, no issues. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is disable critical resource protection. So why this is really required is, unless you disable the critical resource protection, there is no 100% guarantee that unexpected rebooting of servers will not occur. See, because there is a component, the cluster software component, or SCT. So if you try to power off a system, or if you just unplug the power supply or whatever, say whether it is a disastrous scenario or whether it is an intentional scenario, the cluster software is not aware of that. It will think that the node is going down, and it might do some preventive action for that. So we just don't want to allow any room for that kind of a thing, because we want to tell to TSA that go into a manual mode, don't need to monitor for the critical resource protection strategy and all, right? So that is why we are disabling this. So obviously first you need to check that particular resource protection. So for that you can use the command lssrc. Okay, let me check. Okay, I think it is this one. You can go here and see critical resource protection method is 3. So which is like 3 means it is active. The critical resource protection method is enabled. So we have to disable that, which means you have to set it to 5. So if you want to set that critical resource protection method to 5, you have to use the command chrsrc. And let me just check that. I think I should have it. Yeah. chrsrc-c ibm.peer node critical resource protection method equal to 5. That is what we'll do. Okay, so once that is done, obviously I'll again run this. See, it's not immediately, yeah, it got changed to 5. Sometimes it's not, it will not be so fast, so you just have to wait some 5 or 10 seconds. Okay, so we have changed disabled the critical resource protection method, and after that you can disconnect all the applications, which is like not required. So we don't have any clients as of now connecting. So if there are any connections, you can force the applications all by logging on to the primary server. So inst1 Tiger server. So if you say db2 list applications, so there are no applications, nobody is connected yet, so which is like force applications all is already done. And then you have to change the resource group to offline. Okay, so change the HADR resource group to offline. So from the root of the Tiger server we want to do that. So change resource group. Okay, so this is the resource group. So you can get the resource group obviously from the output here. So this is the IBM resource group, db2 inst1 db2 inst1 hadb rg. So that is the resource group name, and I want to change that to offline. Okay, and it's going to take a while. So So how do I check that whether it is going down? So same lssam command. So you can just run probably lssam. Yep. So you can see that that resource group entirely became offline. Okay. So once the thing is done, then you are going to deactivate the database and you are going to stop the instances. This step. So you don't need to do stop force. So you can just deactivate the DB first and then issue the stop command. Okay. So first, obviously, you want to deactivate the primary. So you want to go to primary server with inst1. So you can issue deactivate DB and then stop the instance. And once I do that, you should be able to see that, for example, lssam. See, you can see that the locks are getting placed. So this is the command integration that we are talking about. So if you bring down or deactivate a database, or if you stop the instance, intelligently locks are placed, and you can see that it becomes pending online and there is a lock placed here. So this is the tight integration between the db2 commands and the TSA commands. So if the lock is placed, obviously the TSA won't see if a lock is placed, then you are manually placing a lock. So unless you manually remove it, TSA won't interfere with your actions. But even then, disabling of critical resource protection is considered as an important step, because unexpected server restarts or server reboots can still happen. So that is why they are disabling that. Okay. Okay, so this is done. Oh, okay. So where was I? So I have deactivated the primary database. I have stopped the instance as well. So the next thing would be to do the same thing in here. Deactivate my standby database and stop the instance. So once that step is done, you can see here in lssam everything is offline. So both the instances is down. So you can take this like pending online, this offline, right? So this line you can treat like as though the instance is down, like that. Okay. So the instances are down, the databases are down, and we have disabled the protection, disabled the critical resource protection, everything. And what else? That's it. So and another thing is to, yeah, I think that's it. Then you have to stop the domain. So this is obviously, so if you keep the domain online also, then there is an issue. So even at this stage, even after disabling the critical resource protection, you want to stop the domain. Like that is like 100% guarantee that server restarts or anything. See, if you do not offline the domain, TSAMP still continues to execute the db2 provided scripts, monitor scripts on a periodic basis, and it doesn't make sense to execute because we have already deactivated all the databases. So without stopping the domain, restarting the rebooting the server is still not advised. Okay, so there are two things. So even disabling of critical resource protection and stopping the domain, both needs to be done. So then only we'll get the full freedom to reboot the servers, shut down the servers, start the servers in any order you want. You can do without TSA impact. I'm sorry. Okay, so that is what is the crux of this tutorial. So stop RP domain. So that's the command. So obviously we'll go here, stop RP domain, HA domain. Okay, the command will come like really quick, but lsrp domain, so you'll have to give that. See, it is pending offline and you'll have to wait till it becomes completely offline. So now it is completely offline. Okay, now that's it. So assuming you have successfully brought the domain offline, you can now perform whatever maintenance is required on either server, including reboots like as required. Okay, now I'm not going to do that. See, like if I reboot, I mean the video is going to be lengthy. So I'm just going to assume that we have rebooted the server. So now what needs to be done in order to bring the domain back online, and how to initialize like most of the things we have to do in the reverse order. That's all. So assuming that we have restarted the server, And so once you restart the server, since we have stopped the domain, so if you say now lsrp domain, it's offline, right? So actually what happens is, if you reboot your server and you issue the lsrp domain, it will say there is no domain online, like that. But since we are not doing that, it's saying the domain is offline. So we have to start the domain. Okay, so that command would be start rp domain name. That's it. So start rp domain name is ha domain, and again it is coming back, but see, it becomes pending online and it will take some time to become online, so we'll have to wait till that. Okay, it's taking a lot of time. Okay, in the meantime we'll just go see what they are saying here. Okay, they're also saying wait for TSA MP to complete initialization, so which is like ls-src -ls IBM recovery EM. Okay, let's ls-src, let's give more time. So it became online, so ls-src okay, ls-src -ls IBM dot recovery RM. I think it gives a lot of output, in which I think the important thing is in config state is true, right? We'll have to, so we have to say grep -i state. So in config state true. So we'll have to wait for that in config state true, and it is like here fast. So maybe why they are saying that is because in a real time it might be somewhat slow, so we'll have to wait till that. And after that you can look for your resources, so lssam. So you can see that still everything is offline and the logs are also placed. The nodes are up now, right? So this one became online, okay, but the log is still there and it's still pending online. I think pretty much we have to do in the reverse way. So now we have to restart our instances. So you can start your instances. Obviously we'll start the standby first, so we'll go here and we'll say db2 start the standby, and it is going to take a little while, so we'll have to wait for that. Okay, and activate the standby database, and then go to your primary, start your instance, and activate the primary database, and you can look for the lssam output again. So it is still, the log state is there. Okay, I think it will still be in the log state. This log will go once the HADR databases reach peer state. See, because we have activated the database, we have started the instances, the log is still there, right? So you can see the nodes are up here, so everything became online here once we started the instance, and the log is also released. Now for this resource, the log is still not released because I think it is still not reached the HADR peer state. So once it reaches the HADR peer state, the log should go away. So that's what the document is saying actually. So yeah, see, confirm the HADR in peer connected state. Notice that the request sequence to log will have been removed as soon as they reach the peer state. So let's check that. It is still in the locked state. So why it is not reaching the peer state, I don't know. So we have to run the command to check that. Standby peer state tiger. Yeah, so it has reached the peer state. Maybe it is taking a little bit of time to change the statuses. Okay, that's why I told, so it's going to take a while. for the LSSAM to. Okay, we'll wait for some more time. Okay, let's check in the primary. I don't know, it shouldn't be an issue. So db2 pd -db ha, what is that, hadb -hadr. So if you look at that, you can see it's primary, it's in peer state, it's in, yeah, so that's there. So let's check the LSSAM status again. Okay, for some reason it is still not, even after reaching the peer state, it is still not removing the locks. So I am not sure why that it is like that, because here when you say, yeah, start standby, start primary, once they are in peer state, the lock should not be there as per this the status. Okay. I don't know. Okay, let's run the command in the Dragon server, LSSAM. Yeah, the log is still there. Okay, I think there is a glitch somewhere. Okay, so after that, so once the log is removed, we have to change the resource group to online. Okay, so let's just do that. So maybe it's waiting for that, I don't know. The document says it should remove the lock, but it's still not removing the lock. Okay, let's read it one more time. So confirm that HADR are in peer connected state. Notice that the requested log against the HADR group in the LSSM will have been removed as soon as the database pair reached a peer connected state, which is what I did. And I don't know, it's not removing the lock for some reason. Okay, let's go to inst1 Dragon server HADR. So even though it has reached peer state from the standby server and from the primary server standpoint also, it has reached peer state, so it should remove the lock. Why it is not removing the lock, I don't know. Okay, so let's bring the resources online. So you have to change resource group and make it online. So we'll do that. So yep, this is the one. Change resource group, we have to say online, and you can use again the LSSAM output. So at least now it should remove the lock. Okay. Okay, it's not doing that. So the thing that I'm expecting is once this resource become online, I think everything should become online, and the lock is kind of preventing it. So what we'll do is we'll have to go for a manual way of removing the lock. So this should not happen actually. I don't know why this is happening. Because usually the lock should go away. Or what I can do is I can remove the lock manually if we are, sometimes it happens. So we'll so how do I do that? So I can use some TSA commands to do that. So for example, this is the one. So you can unlock the resource rg request -o. So to list the resource group request, ls rg request -L. ls rg request -L. Yeah, for some reason this lock is not getting removed, so we'll have to place a explicit request to unlock it. So rg request -o unlock, sorry. So rg request -o rg request -o unlock unlock the resource group name, so which is obviously this the one. So I have issued a request for unlocking that, and you can see that it is now coming back. Okay, I don't know why that happened, but that's like a glitch. So online, everything is online. So you can see the resource got online, the Dragon server is offline, the Tiger, which is your primary database, that is online, and the IP address is also online. So everything became online, and we also eventually learned how if something is getting messed up in between. Like, see, ideally as per this document, I don't know what mistake we did, so even if you know something, you just let me know. So it should have because of the tight integration of the db to TSA commands, it should have smoothly removed the lock, but for some reason, even after reaching peer state, it did not remove the lock. So what I did was just go ahead and manually remove the lock by using the TSA command, okay, which is like rg request -o unlock the resource name. So I just manually had to remove the lock. I don't know, sometimes the glitches happen. So now the system is all up and running, but still the resource, the critical resource protection method, you have to re-enable the critical resource protection method. So which is like, where is it? Where is the resource protection method? How to re-enable that? So ls rsrc -c ls rsrc -c ibm dot peer node. So the critical resource protection method is 5, so we want to change that to 3. How do I change that? Okay, change resource critical protection method to 3. Okay, is done. Okay, yeah. So just we have followed all the steps in the document, and we had a glitch and it was fixed. But do let me know why such a thing happened. Hope this information was useful to you, and see you in the next video tutorial. Until then, bye bye.